Hello, my gardening friend, and welcome to my spring gardening tour. I'm going to do this tour a little bit different than I have done my tours recently, where I just show. I'm going to stop and talk about things along the way, and I'm going to probably harvest some things and eat some things on the way too. All right, so let's get to the garden and get to it. It is May 11th, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to each of you mothers. It's been a wonderful spring. My garden is growing like crazy. I've got a lot of things that I need to dig out, and so I can get some other things planted. Here's where I had my Egyptian kale planted. This is Egyptian kale. This is going to seed. You can see the seed pods there, and I can take those seed pods and plant some more. I do like to get some of these nice young tender leaves, take a bite of those. Every day. It's sort of a spicy plant, which, I mean, it doesn't look like it would be a spicy plant. I guess what does a spicy plant look like? But it is a little bit spicy, especially when it gets a little bit older. You can see in here, actually let me get in here, show you a little closer. This is a fig tree. This is a Chicago Hardy, which I have never really harvested much off of, but it looks like it's got some figs coming this year. So hopefully I'll get some harvest and get to taste what those taste like. Here's another fig tree that has some figs on it. I got this from one of my customers just in their yards. I took a cutting. So I haven't had any of these yet either. Hopefully it'll get some figs and I'll get some figs out of it this year as well. All right, so back in here, I've got a bunch of potatoes growing. And these are all just volunteers from ones that I didn't get harvested last year. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. I'm gonna have to put some soil up, hill up around the roots to let them develop better. My brother, who grows a lot of potatoes, said I definitely need to do that. So I'm gonna do it. Here was some figs that I never got a harvest at all. So I think they just weren't right for my climate. So I cut a tree the whole way down. You can see all these shoots coming out. If you wanted to, you could take these shoots and plant them in the ground or dig them up where they had a little bit of a root, plant them in the ground. But they really didn't do well for my climate. Probably needed a lot more climate, a lot better climate, I should say. Maybe like California or something. All right, I've got a lot of volunteer tomato plants coming up, which I probably won't let very many of them grow, maybe one or two. Here is the native persimmon that I grew from a tree. Yeah, I got the seeds from a tree nearby here. And it's doing pretty well. I might have to trim that a little bit. It looks like it's fallen over. Maybe I should trim it so that it would go more upright. Although it probably is heavy right now because we did get some rain, so everything's a little bit wet. So that's adding some weight to it. So here are some onions that I planted this spring. Planted them from, they call them sets, where you get a whole group of onions that are this year's onions, but they've already grown a little bit, so you get them and you put them in the ground, and then that's how you get the big bulbs from these kind of onions. Here are some of my garlic. You can see I have some nice stalks on those. I'll show you the best stalk when I get around to the other side. But I also planted some cilantro in here. I always like to get a nice bite of cilantro when I'm near to it. This is a fig tree called Violette de Bordeaux. I love to say that. Violette de Bordeaux. It's a little hard to say with cilantro in my mouth. But I haven't ever got any off of that either. But this year I'm hoping for a good harvest on that one as well. Here is a volunteer tomato that I actually transplanted over here. And here is a lemon that I might have planted from seed, and it died off down to the ground this year. So we'll see if it comes back. Thinking about transplanting Myers lemon on top of it maybe. This is the first time I actually saw these, but these are okra. I planted 3, I'll probably just leave 1. This is a volunteer plant. Some people would call it a weed, but it is actually lamb's quarter, and it actually is good for you. So I always take a bite of that when I get close to it as well. So here's my biggest garlic. Planted these in probably December, January, and probably harvest them June or July. You start harvesting them you do harvest them when the leaves turn brown. I usually wait too late, and they're starting to sprout out again by the time I get them harvested, but I'm gonna try to do better this year. Some more okra. I planted okra along the edge of this row. So when the garlic's gone, the okra will be coming up there. Some more cilantro. More okra. Here's where I planted my main okra. And I put these covers over them for the rabbits in case the rabbits were getting them. They don't seem like they're getting them too bad up there though. But it also helps the dog not get them too, because the dog came into my garden, into my okra bed, and buried a bone right there. So I dug it up. It was buried like 6 inches under. So I'm surprised my okra actually made it. Over here's okra. This is a little clover. All right, let's go. Oh, here's some Jerusalem artichokes, which are they're already over 3 feet high. And there's some comfrey in the midst of that, which I cut down and chop and drop for under this apple tree especially. I should have put some fungicide on this apple tree already. I haven't got around to ordering it because it does have some apples on it this year. So if I get that fungicide, maybe I'll be able to get a crop. And they do have organic fungicides, so it does have quite a few apples on there. I think this is either a gala or a yellow apple. I'm pretty sure it's a gala though. Oh, I just planted this out last night. This is a beefsteak. And I say that on camera so I can come back and see what it was after I forget. Here are my cucumbers. And I did a couple short videos on this. One was planting them under my winter jugs. This is called in-ground winter sowing, where you plant the seeds and put the jug right on top of it, and then just pull the jug up when it's ready to go without the jug. All right, so, and then I did another short video on a gardening mistake for these cucumbers. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a long form video on that as well, so keep a lookout for that. All right, this is a fig that I forget what it is, actually. I'll probably think of it in a little bit and tell you. But look at my peach tree this year. My peach tree also should have a fungicide because we get a lot of fungus around here and mold and stuff. But I've already taken like half of these off so that I could let the tree put its energy into ones that are gonna make it. But see, like there's still some on here, like these 3 here are way too close. So I'll probably take that one off. I just give it a little twist and throw it. But yeah, I've taken probably half of them. See, there's 2 that are too close together. Actually, those 4 are all too close together. So I'm gonna go ahead and just give that a twist so it'll have more room for the ones to develop. See, they do that on their own too, some. See, that one is just about ready to drop off. So I had watermelons planted over here, I planted watermelons twice already over here, down this row here, and they haven't grown. So I don't know if something came and ate them, rabbit or a bird or something, or they're not getting enough light. But I really, after this peach tree gives me its fruit, I'm gonna chop that down a lot lower, or prune it back, I should say, not chop it down, prune it back, so that it's gonna not shade my ornamental trees over there. Actually shaded a little bit too much. Oh, right, let's keep on. Oh, I passed right by this. This is zucchini that I planted from some seeds. Here's my favorite fig tree, which is a JH Adriatic. It gives a delicious, like a red inside figs in the fall. It's actually pretty late bearing for this season. It's probably not the best tree for my climate either, but I do get figs from it every year. And look, it has some breva, which breva is the crop from the old wood from last year. And a lot of times it's not a very great fig. I don't know why, but most of my figs are Celeste, and they fall off. The breva crop just falls off. So, but I get a good crop, main crop on those. So I do have quite a few, so maybe you'll see some that'll ripen up right. I had a bunch of figs that I started over here, and you can see, well, here's the pile. I just trimmed them off because I was gonna sell these, and I didn't get around to it the last couple years, so they were like probably 8 feet tall. So they were shading the trees back there, and that's not good. So I went ahead and trimmed these down. So I'm gonna dig them up, put them in, like I get those cheap gardening bags at the store, and I'm gonna put these in those gardening bags so I can sell them, maybe get them to leaf out a little bit more before I sell them. Let's see. Here's my swamp water. This is probably over a year old, and I was using this, while the lid is off of it, I was using it to water my plants that I planted yesterday. So I just put I put a cup, I put like a cup of this in my 5-gallon watering jug. Guess that's what you call it. My mind's going blank, I'm sorry. Getting too old, I guess. Look at these raspberries. They got a lot of raspberries coming. I am in zone 8A now. They changed it from 7B to 8A. So if you're wondering why I'm ahead of you, or wondering why I'm behind you, that's because of the zone that I'm in. But I've got a lot of raspberries coming there. Here's a tomato cage that I'm using for these squash this year. These are yellow squash, and they're gonna grow up this cage. I'll probably only pick like 3 of the best ones of these, but they're more like a vining squash, so they should go up this trellis if I got the seeds right. We'll see. This is a hardy kiwi, and these are very vigorous growers. I trimmed this down to the top of the trellis this spring, and it has like 3 feet of growth already, so I'm gonna have to keep those trimmed. I did see some kiwis on here on the other side. Let's see if I can find them, or if they dropped off or dried up. Some people say you need a male plant to get good production. This one, when I bought it, said that you don't need another plant, but there were some on here. There were a bunch on here of blooms that were starting to develop into the kiwi, and I don't see them now. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I do need some kind of a male plant for the pollinator. That's a shame if those are all gone. If they're all gone, I'm gonna probably trim it back pretty hard so it doesn't shade the rest of my garden and grow everywhere. Okay, here are some pole beans that are supposed to be going up this chicken wire here. This chicken wire was the top of habitat we had in the yard for the kids to put a turtle in when they were looking at it. Some more comfrey. But these are, I think they are blue leg pole bean. They didn't come up real great, or the rabbit or something got them. Wouldn't be surprised if the rabbit got them. Some more of the raspberries. Here's the asparagus, which came up, gave some harvest, and then went to seed, which is the way they always do. You can see some raspberries there are starting to turn red. They'll be ready to eat in just a few days. Let me see. Anyone guess what this plant is? It's like 6 feet tall. That, my friend, is a carrot from last year. So I just let it go to seed, and so all these are gonna bloom like a white bloom, and they have seed pods in them. This is an arugula that was also a volunteer, and look at all the seed pods on arugula. Once you have arugula growing, if you let one of them go to seed, you'll have plenty of seeds for next year or the next couple years. But I always like to grab an arugula to harvest and eat too. That's delicious. Some people don't like arugula. I love it. I did plant some kale down here. It's not coming up especially well. This is one of the areas that I need to dig out from the overgrowth a little bit too. But there's some red Russian kale. Some over there too. So I planted it all along this area. Here's my main spot where I have my Jerusalem artichokes. I usually put them along this fence every year. And I'm wondering if I can cut them in half, because they get really, really tall and they fall over, because you can see I'm sort of in the midst of other things. That tree there, I need to chop and drop, because it used to be a little tiny tree that I chopped and dropped down here, but now it's going way up there. So I need to get that tree out of here. Here are my elderberries. I have one variety here, because you need 2 varieties for good production on elderberries. And here's another variety here. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stand having this much growth in my garden, because they get like 10 feet tall here. But if I cut that tree down, it might help, because it might get more light and might not have to get that tall. So I don't know, what do you think, guys? I already pulled a lot of them out just so I would have room to get through here. This is a root crop, but I'm not thinking of the name of it at the moment. But it's a spice, horseradish. Horseradish is the spice. I used to call it a spice. And I should have planted that, or I should have harvested some of it this spring before it started growing out again, but I didn't. See, there's elderberry going wild way over here. Pulled it out. It's really, really got a lot of water, moisture in there when you pull it out. I do have more cilantro up here in this area. Lamb's quarter. This whole bed is where I usually do my spring greens and things for the rabbits to eat. Well, the rabbits love this lamb's quarter. So actually I need to pull these out, because you can see underneath there, or maybe you can't see, but underneath there is where I planted a lot of carrots. So the rabbits will get those lamb quarter. And there's a bunch of carrots down in here growing. So I need to get those lamb's quarters out to give the carrots room to grow. And I'll probably pull out some of the carrots as I do this, but that'll thin them out. So that's no problem. And the rabbits would like the little tender carrots as well. This is a mulberry that I didn't plant, just a volunteer. We had a mulberry tree in the front yard, but the birds were eating so much and pooping, dive bombing our front door, that we actually cut that down, and we gotta figure out a place to let one grow back here. Look at my broccoli. I got plants of this, and I planted them, I guess it was early spring, maybe late winter, early spring. So they have making some heads, and they're probably about ready to harvest. Also have some lettuce down here that I bought some plants at the store, and it's still tender. It's really good. I need to make some salads for my wife. I keep saying I'll make a salad whenever you want me to, because I have lots of things I can put in it right now in the garden. But she has to ask me at the right time, I guess. So here's the strawberry patch. I did have some strawberries in here, and there's still some growing. So we did get some strawberries this year already. So yeah, I love strawberries. This is my another onion patch. These onions actually are starting to bulb out on the bottom a little bit more than the other patch was. So I'd like to see that. I should start using them, because what I have a tendency to do is I have a tendency to leave things in the ground until they're fully grown, and then I don't get to use them all because they will rot before I get the chance to use them. So I should go ahead and start pulling them out and start using them. Does that happen to you guys? Here's my rosemary. I had the rosemary, actually, it smells really good, but I had a branch I stuck in the ground here, so I think that's rooted, and I could probably just cut it off and have another rosemary plant to give to someone there. This is a plant called Bloody Dock. It doesn't have a real great taste, but you can see why they call it Bloody Dock. And I mostly have it because my grandkids love to go full grandma. Yeah, it doesn't taste very good at all. Got some more of it over here. That one over there that I picked the plant off was actually a volunteer. All right, this is an area that I started to clean out a little bit just the other day. I have some apple trees here that I planted from seed, and I don't think these are good ones. I think these are gonna be one that'll either graft a good tree on, a good known variety onto it, or just chop it down, because they've got a lot of little tiny apples on them. So I think those are just like crab apples. I don't think they'll get very big, but I guess I'll see how big they get, because might get lucky and have a good tree, but I don't think so. Apples and a lot of things like that are heterozygous, it's called, where it means that the baby plants will not probably have the characteristics of the mother plant. So that's why horticulture people that grow things like this, they'll get a good strain, a good variety, and then they graft that variety onto a rootstock of other varieties, and so they have the good variety that makes it and produces well. Look at these persimmons. These are my Fuyo persimmons. And they had the blooms there. So now the blossom turns into the persimmon. These are amazing. They turn orange. I was eating so many persimmons last year. I'd eat like 1 or 2 every day for a lot of the late summer because they're non-astringent. So even if they're not perfectly ripe, they still taste good. And this tree is just covered again this year. And I trimmed it back quite a bit, pruned it back. Here is a cayenne pepper that I grew in my winter sowed water jugs, and I just winter sowed milk jugs, and I just put it out here in the garden last night. Peppers don't mind being transplanted. So there's one there and one up here that I'm planning to let grow. I have a little fencing here, so I'll be able to loosely tie that up to the fence to help support the branches, because the branches on peppers get heavy and they're not very strong, so they'll drop down. I do have blackberries in amongst this mess. Look at all those blackberries coming. That's gonna be tons of blackberries just on that one spot. And over here there are some that have a lot on them as well. And some of those are actually starting to turn. So we're gonna have blackberries before long. Here's a nice peppermint that it can get invasive, but we actually like it a lot. I mean, we'll take handfuls of this and put it in the house. I'll put it in the microwave with some water and just cook it just for the smell to go around the house. And my wife, everybody loves that. So it's one of those things that the more you cut it down, the more it's gonna grow out too. So I am gonna, since I'm out here this morning, I'm gonna go ahead and get some, take it in the house to make that nice peppermint smell go all around the house. All right, so that's my garden. That's pretty much it. So let me know if you like this new style or this different style of just taking a slow walk through the garden, or if you'd rather have just, there's this, there's this, there's this. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you do have a great Mother's Day, and I'll see you again real soon.